Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet for your Wednesday. It is October the 29th. A little bit different today in terms of the topics on the board. There is nothing related to an injury in today's news video. So how crazy is that? That'll be another news video. We had 16 games yesterday. There's going to be a lot of injuries to discuss. My guess is there's just an overwhelming amount of injuries coming out of last night's games, and they've reached a point where they can't quite flow through, and eventually they'll just all burst out. We'll get a bunch of news. But we're going to talk about contracts to start things off. Logan Cooley signing an 8-year extension with the Utah Mammoth. $10 million cap hit. Worth it. Considering where the salary cap's going, Cooley, yeah, $10 million makes sense. Strong scorer, off to a great start to the season. I think he's legitimate. I've talked about Cooley for years. I remember seeing the Coyotes their last year in Vancouver, and Cooley was one guy that I was a huge fan of in that game and before that game. And since that game, I was a big fan of that Coyotes roster in general, and I really felt like they were close. And I remember saying that a couple years ago during Arizona's last year as well. So seeing Cooley take that next step and now he's getting paid like it is great. Now, also yesterday, while there were 16 games on, when the Thomas Harley extension was announced yesterday, I did watch Sportsnet discussing it a little bit, and the panel seemed to think that this was an overpayment. I think Thomas Harley is one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League. He did play for Team Canada at the Four Nations and played really well. I think the fact that people think it's an overpayment show, he is still one of the best kept secrets in the National Hockey League. Signs an 8-year extension with the Dallas Stars. The cap hits $10.5875 million. Yes, I like it when it's that specific. I think it's fantastic. But for Harley, it's a fair contract. I think for the Stars, it's a fair contract. I think that Thomas Harley at this point is as valuable to the Stars as Heiskanen. In fact, offensively, I'd put him ahead of Heiskanen, and as an all-around defenseman, they're right next to one another. I think Harley is only going to turn more heads when we reach the Olympics, and I think he's only going to get better. So good job by Dallas to get this done, get the extension in place, and we're seeing more and more players now making over $10 million in terms of their cap hits. And so for contracts that have been signed previously, they don't look quite as bad. Milne is the only one that's on waivers today for Minnesota. I would imagine he probably clears, ends up down in the American Hockey League. And so all the best to him. Trent Miner was on waivers yesterday for Colorado, was not claimed, gets sent down. And then we move on to other topics. Pierre LeBrun reporting that last night's Frozen Frenzy, which was absolutely exhausting. 16 games tends to do that, so I will misspeak during the Frozen Frenzy review. It just happens. It's 32 teams. It's 16 games. It's bonkers. It's a lot. Now, for NHL execs, what apparently some of them weren't happy about was the start times for the games. And I've talked about that too. How, you've got your local start time is maybe 8:30, maybe 8:45, maybe later, because teams in the middle of the country, and this is both in the States and in Canada at times as well, you kind of get hosed because the start times are geared towards people in the Eastern time zone or the Pacific time zone, where a majority of your population is going to be. And so people in the middle, Minnesota, Dallas are the ones that usually come to mind there. Your start times are really late. So there are some executives that aren't happy about the start times and also not happy about trying to sell tickets in the market for some of this and trying to market this. So while, yes, it ends up being this great spectacle on ESPN, for some teams, they may have sold less tickets. They may have had a harder time getting people to watch. And if you're not one of the nationally televised games, I'm not sure that it helps from a televised perspective there either. One thing that I did see was, why don't they do this on Saturday? And immediately people are like, no, college football dominates Saturdays. You can't do it. Well, college football dominates in the U.S. for Saturdays, yes. But also, college football ends in January. So you could do this at the end of January, early February, March, April. You could do this any other time of year, probably get more eyeballs on it for Saturday, and you wouldn't have to worry about going against the World Series. You might end up going against a couple of playoff games in the NFL. You don't have to end up worrying about the Super Bowl unless you do it on a Sunday. And you could even do it during the bye week where you have the Super Bowl and they have the nothing week before, and just the NHL could market something around that. Maybe do it on the Sunday where the NFL has their bye week, if that's set. I'm pretty sure that's set too. So you think around it. If the NHL is going to just schedule around other sports, then look at days they're not playing and go, we can put it right there. And it should work for ESPN. It should work for everybody. But either way, we'll see what they do next year. My guess is it'll still be in October. It'll still tick off some NHL executives. And we'll still be here talking about it next year at this time. A feel-good story involving Brad Marchand, and one of the reasons why I have 2 Brad Marchand jerseys. I did see people questioning, why would somebody have Brad Marchand jerseys? I get them cheap. The Brad Marchand jerseys, I have 2 of them. Both of them acquired for less than warehouse or wholesale value, I should say, for the jersey. So when a jersey's wholesale value, which with Adidas, it was usually $105. With the Fanatics, I think it's in the 130 to 140 region now when you're getting the premium jerseys. So it's they're pricey, but when you see a jersey that's like $80, you're getting it for less than cost. So I'm like, all right, sure. And Marchand is a good guy, and this is why I got a couple of Marchand jerseys. He is coaching in Nova Scotia, and not permanently. He's not like, that's it, I'm out of here, bye everybody, I'm gonna walk the earth. Pulp Fiction, fantastic scene. We call that a bum. Nova Scotia, don't get distracted, Shannon. All right, so Marchand's coaching in Nova Scotia under 18 Major Junior Hockey League team. He is doing so because the coach, JP McCallum, is dealing with the loss of his daughter. So tragic time for the coach, and Marchand, being the man that he is stepping in. And I think this is great. So early this morning, there were reports about Marchand not being at the morning skate for the Florida Panthers. And, where's Marchand? Is he hurt? Nope. He is doing the most Marchand thing. He's just a great guy. In following the Boston Bruins, off-ice stuff in the community, Marchand has never been shy about. So I understand there's people who don't like him for some of his on-ice shenanigans, which have really settled down a lot from where they were. If the worst thing he does this year is take Darlene's helmet and just rip the straps off and throw it on the ice, that's a step up from where it used to be. But yeah, so good on Marchand. Great story. And it does get some eyeballs onto the team that he's coaching, the league that he's coaching in. And we'll see how long this process goes. But good on Marchand. I think it's great. And so there's a part in the schedule where he can do this. And I'm sure the Florida Panthers are 100% supporting Marchand for doing this as well. So, good story. We have 100 days left until the start of the 2026 Olympics. The excitement's there. It's part of the reason why I've got all these magnets now that are the hockey players from the table hockey that I used for the previews. So, now all the speculations about who's going to be on the teams, who's not. And I do find it interesting, too. People are like, well, I don't know with Celebrini because he's got these other players to go past. You pick the best players. You pick the players who are playing the best right now. I think when you're picking an Olympic team, it shouldn't matter who's been there before. It shouldn't matter who's seen as, well, this guy's, you have to have him there. No, you pick the guys who are playing the best. And if Celebrini is one of the best players in the league, then he should go. I know how this works out. I know I've seen this multiple times where a team plays in the Olympics, country plays in the Olympics, they underachieve, and immediately everybody dissects the roster and what was wrong with it. So I know it's going to happen again next year when we get through these Olympics, and bring it on. I'm going to be entertained by who they don't pick that they should. Dobish. So continuing the discussion about Dobish. Bit of a Dobish supporter here. Very vocal about it too. Dobish is now 6-0 to start the year. .930 save percentage, which is ridiculous. So now he's being seen as being in the mix for potentially the Calder Trophy. And I honestly agree with this 110%. I think Calder consideration for Dobish makes entirely too much sense. He leads the National Hockey League in high danger save percentage with a .918. This is vastly higher than some of the high danger save percentages I've seen over the years. .918 is fantastic. I don't know if he maintains that, but even if he drops off a bit, he has to be in consideration for the Calder. So the good news for Montreal fans is, if you're looking for back-to-back Calders after Hudson won it last year, now you got 2 guys who might be in the mix in Demidov and Dobish. They can stay healthy the full year, and if they both keep playing the way they've been playing, maybe 2 of the 3 finalists for the Calder end up being from Montreal. So we'll see how that all works. All right, and saved for last, and I thought about making a video strictly on this, and I thought, no, I'll put this at the end of the news video, and we'll have a little discussion here. So again, it's a little different than the other news videos I normally do, where it's all injuries. There's no injuries on this board, none. The injury board will be sometime later, is my guess. I haven't seen a whole lot about injuries from last night's games, but when you have 16 games, there are going to be injuries. The Mavericks are in a bit of a battle with the Dallas Stars, and this is kind of a surprise. So I'm separating it from the other Dallas news because that's, happy contract news. The Dallas Stars are potentially losing their arena. And it is a battle with the Mavericks that brings us here. So traces back to failed negotiations to extend the lease with American Airlines Center in October of 2024. And the battle begins there, and now the Mavericks and the Stars are suing one another. Now, the Mavericks are suing them in part because the Stars' headquarters and practice facility are located outside of Dallas, which allegedly breaks the 1998 agreement between the Mavericks and the Stars. Basically, we're going to work together, we're going to share this building, we're going to do it all together. Where'd they go? We had an agreement. Where are they? Now, Dallas, it does have backup plans. They have backup plans involving potentially building a new arena. They may very well move out of Dallas. I'm not sure how that'll work with the naming rights. I don't know if they become the Texas Stars, because there's an AHL team named the Texas Stars. I don't know what that would do to a potential Houston team if you have a Texas Stars and then Houston comes in. Well, there's two Houston teams then. So it does look like, from the article I was reading, that the city may very well be siding with the Mavericks on this. That they're saying, yes, it looks like the Dallas Stars broke the lease. And considering the reporting I did this summer on the Dallas Stars and youth hockey in the Dallas area and how they control that and how they kind of run it, I'm not entirely surprised to see them and the Mavericks not getting along that well. It may just be that Dallas is one of those organizations that doesn't play well with others. But either way, this is going through the courts now. So on Tuesday, the lawsuit came in from the Mavericks, and Wednesday, which is today, the Stars have countersued. So it does sound like the city is siding with the Mavs at this point. We don't know what the courts are going to decide necessarily. But the Dallas Stars, and before anybody says we'll just move them to Houston, that is not on the list of areas that they're even considering. This is where you'd move more out into the suburbs kind of thing. I saw they were looking at a parcel of land in Plano, Texas, and the possibility of building out there. So a lot of moving parts on this. I'm sure Gary Bettman is very aware of this situation right now, and he's going to monitor this. Remember, one thing that does cause teams to move, because we saw this with the Atlanta Thrashers, you lose your building and you don't have anywhere else to go. We also saw that with Arizona, kind of sort of, in that they did have a building, but the NHL said we can't have NHL games at the Mullet for an extended period of time. We got to move this. This isn't going to work. So Dallas isn't going to end up in a Mullet type situation here. It sounds like they're already making plans for if/when this doesn't necessarily work out in their favor. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding any of the items on the board. Hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It's always appreciated. I will talk to you again soon.